Welcome to LeverUp Tutorials. I'm Marcus. This episode is about liquidation, the mechanism that automatically closes your position when your losses get too large. A lot of new traders experience liquidation before they fully understand it, and that's a frustrating way to learn. So let's go through it properly. What it is, when it triggers, where to find your liquidation price, and 4 practical ways to reduce your risk. First, let's be clear about what liquidation actually is. It's not a punishment and it's not random. It's a protocol mechanism that exists to prevent your loss from exceeding your collateral. When you open a leveraged trade, you put up collateral as margin. If the market moves against your position, your losses grow. At some point, those losses could exceed what you deposited. To prevent that from happening, the protocol automatically closes your position before all your margin is gone. That's liquidation. On LeverUp, that threshold is approximately 85% of your collateral value. When your position's losses have consumed around 85% of what you deposited, the protocol closes the trade automatically. There's no warning before this happens. There's no margin call. The protocol acts on its own at the moment the threshold is crossed. Now, there are 2 ways liquidation can be triggered, and this is something many traders miss the second one entirely. The first and most obvious trigger is price. As the market moves against your position, your unrealized loss grows. Once it crosses that 85% threshold, liquidation happens. This is straightforward. If you're long and the price falls far enough, you get liquidated. The second trigger is fees. Holding fees and funding rates accumulate while your position is open. These costs come directly out of your effective collateral, not from some separate pool. So even if the market price barely moves against you, a position held open for several days can have its effective margin eroded by fees alone, which moves your liquidation price closer to your entry over time. This is why a position that looked safe when you opened it on Monday might be closer to liquidation by Thursday, even if the price moved sideways. Where do you find your liquidation price? There are 2 places. Before you open a trade, it's shown in the order summary panel, right there before you confirm. Get in the habit of checking it every single time before you submit. After you've opened a position, it's displayed in the Positions tab at the bottom of the screen, next to your open trade. It updates in real time. The live number in your Positions tab is always more accurate than the number you saw when you opened, because it reflects accumulated fees. If you want the full technical formula and the latest protocol parameters, those are in LeverUp's official documentation at LeverUp. Gitbook, EO. The docs are the source of truth for any specific numbers. Now let's talk about 4 practical things you can do to reduce your liquidation risk. Number 1. Set a stop loss. This is the most effective protection available to you. A stop loss automatically closes your position when the price reaches a level you've defined, before it gets anywhere near the liquidation price. If you set a stop loss at a 20% loss on a 10 times leverage position, you exit cleanly at that level, long before the 85% threshold. Stop losses are free to set and can be placed directly in the order panel when you open a trade, or added afterward from your Positions tab. Number 2. Use lower leverage. The further your leverage is from the maximum, the more room exists between your entry price and your liquidation price. At 5 times leverage, the price needs to move roughly 17% against you before liquidation triggers. At 50 times leverage, it's under 2%. Choosing lower leverage literally buys you more time and more distance, which means more margin for error. Number 3. Monitor your funding rate. Every market on LeverUp shows a funding rate. It's displayed on the market ticker. When funding is running against your position, it's charging your collateral on a recurring basis. On a trade you're holding for multiple days, this accumulates. Before you hold a position overnight or through the weekend, Check what the funding rate is and factor that into your plan. High funding against your direction can be significant over several days. Number 4. Check your open positions regularly. Because liquidation price moves over time as fees accumulate, you can't just open a trade and forget about it. If you're holding a position for more than a day, make a habit of opening the Positions tab and looking at your current liquidation price. Compare it to where the market is trading right now. If it's uncomfortably close, you have options: close part of the position, reduce leverage, or exit entirely. A few things that are important to understand about what happens after a liquidation. When a position is liquidated, it's closed according to the protocol's liquidation and settlement process. The resulting balance, after applicable fees and settlement, reflects in your account and in your History tab. If you want to understand the exact mechanics, check the documentation. The protocol parameters are updated periodically, and the docs will always have the current numbers. One thing to be especially clear about: there is no margin call on LeverUp. You won't receive a notification, a warning pop-up, or any kind of alert before liquidation happens. The protocol acts automatically. The only time you can intervene is before the threshold is crossed, not during, not after. 3 mistakes worth naming so you can avoid them. First, setting your stop loss below your liquidation price. This is more common than you'd think. If your stop loss is at or below your liquidation price for a long position, the stop loss is useless. The position will be liquidated before the stop loss can execute. Your stop loss needs to sit in the gap between your entry and your liquidation price, at a loss level you can accept. Second, opening a high leverage position and stepping away from the screen. At 100 times leverage, a move of under 1% can liquidate you. Positions at that leverage level require either active monitoring or a tightly placed stop loss. Leaving them unattended for hours is very high risk. Third, not accounting for funding costs on positions you're holding for several days. Funding can compound meaningfully over a weekend. If you're entering a trade Thursday and planning to check it Monday, make sure the funding situation isn't working against you in a way that silently erodes your margin. The big picture: liquidation is manageable if you treat it as a known variable rather than a surprise. Know your liquidation price before you enter. Set a stop loss above it. Check the funding rate before holding overnight. Look at your Positions tab regularly. Do those 4 things consistently, and liquidation goes from something that happens to you to something you simply avoid. Next in the series, how to set stop loss and take profit on LeverUp. We'll walk through exactly how to set those orders, where to place them, and the critical rule about stop loss placement relative to liquidation price. Link in the description. I'm Marcus. See you there.